And you had mentioned, doing your write up and your review after the market closes. Can you maybe talk a little bit about what that looks like? And are you analyzing your trades? How do you analyze your trades? Is it with software? Are you doing like input and doing breakdowns? What does your review process look like?
So the first step in my review process, I've got a Discord group with just me in, and I've just got down the channels. I've just got my setups, and I've just named them all, and then I just screenshot and save them. And then often I will put them in Paint 3D, and I would just like annotate them, and like particularly now because it's a case of like I suppose like analyzing almost like analyzing a losing trade gets easier because it's a case of was this a setup? Yes or no? Did I take my stop in the correct point? Yes or no? And like there's probably I think like we all fall victim actually of over analyzing it. And, you get some people are like, oh well at 10:31 there was a 1.1 million candle. That means it's not a short or whatever. And you're like, hang on, you, you you're just trying to back up and confirm what happened. But actually, is it a setup? Is it your setup? Yes or no? And did you stop in the right place? And actually, that's quite a relatively easy process. And now it's a case of actually spending a lot more time analyzing winning trades because it's like, actually, how do I get size here? Did I start in the right point? Could I have started earlier? Could I, etc. And actually, it's a case of I'm on the right side here. Next time this happens, how do I maximize it? And I just so I'm annotating, I'm saving everything, and like even in my in we've got I'm created we've got a few little communities in Discord as well, and we something that we promote within the group as well. We're always sharing charts, saving our charts, and we've got our own little folder, got our own little channel again. So it is quite like a lengthy process, but ultimately like I want to be able to have a library of annotated charts. And just so if someone says to me, "What's your playbook?" I can be like, "Well, this is my playbook, and here's some really good examples of it working. Here's a couple of examples of it not working." Um, yeah, and I do have software, and I'm actually looking at other software as well because I used to use TraderView, and it's just something that I stopped using, perhaps just to try and sort of do it myself. But actually, I think it's actually quite a useful tool.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's always kind of interesting to hear what different people's process is like for analyzing their trades. Some people look at crazy tons of stats. Other people, have a completely separate process. In reviewing your trades, have you, learned anything about your trading style? And simply from reviewing it, have you thought of new plays or setups that work best for you? If you had to say like one or two things that have really stood out to you that have come out of reviewing your trades, what would you say those have been?
So I suppose that the main thing is that I like quite a big picture. I like to get when I'm in a trade, I like to give it time and I like to let it work. And I don't tend to do very well when actually you've got to make quite a lot of quite quick decisions and cover here, short here, whatever, and you're actually trading it quite a lot. So that's lent itself to my focus typically is quite a big picture. And actually I actually don't want to press a lot of buttons. And I think it just sort of focuses your mind on like what's happening at a certain time of the day. Like if something's breaking, holding and breaking out later in the day, actually that's quite dangerous on the short side. Particularly if something's making new highs after 3 p.m., that can be quite dangerous as well. And I think it just highlights actually like how to distinguish between certain setups. So like I started off with a shuffler, which was I call it shuffler, but it was like a 10:30 type play, and then it wasn't appearing as much. So I thought I had to enhance the playbook, and then it enhanced to like a sort of midday, late day fader, and I just sort of started enhancing the playbook, which I wouldn't have done if I hadn't done all that work. And the other thing that like I look back and I think like, and I always joke that like you shouldn't have feelings in trading. Don't have it's not like a case of, oh, I feel this is going to go down today, or I feel this is going to go up today. Nah, because that's just some sort of random setup.
Mm.
that you're trying to justify in your head, or you're trying to do, actually it's a case of, this is what I've seen before, this is what I've seen 100 times before,
Mhm.
this is what I've got data on, this is what's going to happen. And I think it's just that constant refinement really. And I think it's key when I'm finding it's key when I'm analyzing my winning trades, is just how do I get ads, how do I lower my risk level, where do I stop, how do I reduce my, etc., etc.
That's extremely helpful.
And I think like coming from that sporting background as well, like I watch my games. When I'm in the gym, I'll often record myself lifting, and it's just because the camera or your trades or whatever your screenshots, they don't lie. Um, and it just gives you that another perspective that perhaps you're missing. And I think we all have this perception that we're doing extremely well and we're nailing everything, but actually there's always areas to improve on. And I think it's key to work on your, obviously, self-analysis as well, but also look at other people's trades as well, reverse engineer it. And I think particularly like someone like Nate shares quite a lot of charts. It's just, and particularly like when he's on the right side of a trade, you just see it light up. There's just red arrows everywhere. And I think that's just something that I'm looking back on my charts and I'm like, actually, I haven't got that at all. And it's how do I get from my point to closer to his point.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely something great to aspire to. Some of his charts, I've told him this, they're almost like artwork.
Yeah, 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 definitely. And they're so good. Like some of them, like you'd want a poster. And when I spoke with him, I said like that's ultimately what I aspire for, is where I've got like trades that I'm like, I've got to print that out. I've got to put that on my wall because it looks that good and it's art. Like you said, it's artwork. That's yeah, that's what I'm inspiring.